Many Magic the Gathering players asked the question, did Play Boosters ruin Limited? When Play Boosters were first announced in October of 2023, many Magic the Gathering players expressed some concerns about the new product's potential impact on both draft and sealed. Other players, however, argued that we should wait and see the full impact of Play Boosters before we cast any final judgment on their outcome. And wait, I did, but now we've had nearly a full year of new sets featuring Play Boosters. Murders at Markov Manor, Outlaws of Thunder Junction, and Bloomborough, as well as one new premium set, Modern Horizons 3. I think it's fair to say that we have seen enough new limited environments come and go to have a pretty good idea of the impact of Play Boosters on the format. So what exactly is that impact? Is Limited better now than it was with Draft Boosters, or is it worse? If so, how much worse? This video will strive to not only answer all of those questions, but to explain fully just what the impact of Play Boosters has been upon the limited environments of Draft and Sealed. Part 1. The difference. Let's begin by taking a look at the differences between Play Booster packs and Draft Booster packs. The makeup of a Play Booster pack is as follows: 1 rare or mythic card, 3 uncommons, 6 guaranteed commons, 1 card that is either a common or a card from the list, 1 wild card of any rarity, 1 foil wild card of any rarity, and 1 basic land. Compare this to the makeup of a Draft Booster pack, which contained 1 rare or mythic card, 3 uncommons, 10 common non-land cards, and 1 common land card which was usually a basic land, but was sometimes a common non-basic land, such as when a multicolor set would have a full cycle of non-basic lands. Draft Booster packs also had the chance that 1 common slot would be replaced with a foil card of any rarity, but this of course occurred infrequently. The most obvious difference between Draft and Play Boosters is the number of commons in a pack. That may seem innocuous. After all, aren't commons the worst kind of card in a pack? Who cares if there's 1 less? But that 1 missing card, common as it was, has a real impact on how it feels to draft a set, and certainly makes a difference when you open a sealed pool, but more on that in a moment. But it's not just that Play Booster packs have fewer commons, as the Magic sets themselves now have fewer commons in them to accommodate the needs of Play Boosters. Specifically, Play Booster sets have 81 commons and 100 uncommons, as compared to 101 commons and 80 uncommons, which sets contained when Draft Boosters were around. Thus, Play Boosters have essentially made it so that Magic the Gathering sets have fewer commons than uncommons. Pack collation is different with Play Boosters as well. Pack collation refers to the color breakdown of a given pack. With Draft Boosters, every pack had at least 1 common of each color. With Play Boosters, that's no longer the case, meaning you can open a pack that has 0 green cards, for example. Another difference between the 2 types of boosters is the number of rares that you can open in a single pack. In a typical Draft Booster pack, the maximum number of rares that you can open is 2, 1 in the non-foil rare slot and 1 potentially in the foil slot. Most packs, though, only had 1. Packs from special sets, such as those with bonus sheets like Strixhaven's Mystical Archive, or cards with the set-specific subtype like Strixhaven's Lessons, could have more rares than 2, but that was a rare occurrence, if you will pardon the pun. Also, the rares you pulled from those special set packs were not pulled from the same pool of possible rares as the one you opened in the ordinary rare slot. Some were still powerful, but they were distinct from the ordinary rare. With Play Boosters, it is a regular occurrence to open multiple rares from the ordinary rare slot in the same pack, thanks to that wildcard slot. That is, of course, in addition to any bonus sheets that may be in the set, such as the Prosperity bonus sheet from Outlaws at Thunder Junction, or cards from the special guest sheet, many of which are extremely powerful. The subject of bonus sheets brings me to the next difference, the list. Previously, cards from the list were reserved for set boosters. They never appeared in a draft and therefore never influenced the environment. Play boosters brought cards from the list into draft, including special guest cards, which are typically more powerful than the rest of the set. Every play booster set so far has done so slightly differently. In Murders at Karlov Manor, 1 out of 8 packs had a list or special guest card. In Thunder Junction, they bumped that up to 1 out of every 5 packs. With Bloomborough, Wizards has decided that cards from the list will no longer appear in play boosters going forward, with the exception of special guest cards. In all of these sets, a powerful special guest card appeared in 1 out of 64 packs, the most powerful of which are often stronger than any card in the main set, such as Sword of Fire and Ice and Swords to Plowshares in Bloomborough. Another significant change from draft to play boosters is the price. Draft booster boxes on average would cost consumers approximately $100 to $110, and over-the-counter draft boosters started at $4 per pack. Play boosters have seen a significant uptick in price, with booster boxes on average costing $130 to $140 per booster box, and individual packs now starting at $5 and up. At 3 packs per draft, this makes the cost of attending a draft at your local game store a minimum of $3 more expensive than before, though that usually translates to $5 or more expensive if your local game store needs to subsidize the also increased cost of prize packs. If your local draft was $15 before, it might be as much as $20 now, a 33% increase. This increase in pack price also means that sealed events, such as your local pre-release, may cost as much as $6 to $10 more now that we are using play booster packs. Part 2, the impact. So how have these differences impacted Limited in a practical sense? For starters, that increased cost of a pack did indeed raise the cost of local game store drafts by about $5. Now, for the most part, stores seem to report that this hasn't impacted turnout too drastically. Murders at Markov Manor, in particular, did struggle to fire pods a couple of weeks after release, but that had more to do with the set's unpopularity than with anything specific to play boosters. That said, a price increase is a price increase is a price increase, and in an era with increased price gouging for products of all kinds, Magic-related or otherwise, that extra cost of a draft certainly matters to some degree. But what about gameplay? Let's assume the $5 difference isn't a deal breaker for you. How has the change in pack contents impacted the feeling of drafting a set? First of all, the ability to open extra rares exacerbates the inherently high variance nature of Limited that some players find off-putting. It can be frustrating to lose to a player who opened significantly better cards than you did. That's made more true if the busted card they opened isn't even in the main set. Imagine you draft an awesome blue-red deck in Bloomborough, but then your first-round opponent slams a Sword of Fire and Ice onto the table. Is that fun? That said, in draft, the extra rare issue self-mitigates to some extent. If anything, an increase in the number of rares per pack makes it more likely that more players will get to put a premium rare in their deck, since each player only gets to take 1 card out of a pack at a time. Your first pack may not have a bomb, but the player to your left may have opened 2 bombs and will therefore pass you 1. The change in rarity breakdown within a set has a significant impact as well. With 20 fewer commons, you're a little more likely to see the same common multiple times during a draft, even though each pack contains fewer commons than before. On Arena especially, it's a common occurrence to open multiple of the same common in the same pack, something that never used to happen with draft boosters. Conversely, with 20 more uncommons total in each set, you're less likely to open any particular uncommon now than you were with draft boosters. This leads to more variety at the uncommon slot, which some players may like. After all, uncommons tend to be some of the more powerful and interesting cards that you can open in a draft, so it's cool to see a wider range of them. On the other hand, this also means you're less likely to open signpost uncommons, those uncommon gold cards in each color pair that point you in a direction for building your deck. Newer players feel these effects the most, as they are the players who most benefit from clearly defined lanes for drafting. Speaking of lanes, one of the key skills to draft is reading the signals that players around you are sending. If you see a strong standout black card 6th or 7th pick, that implies that the players to your left probably aren't playing black. You're therefore incentivized to move into black and abandon whichever color is your weakest thus far to reap the benefits of the open lane. With draft boosters, particularly strong drafters would often try to identify the exact color the player passing to them took with their first pick. That is to say, thanks to the common color correlation of draft boosters, if the player to your left took a common out of their opening pack, then that common's color might be missing from the pack that they passed you. With play boosters' lack of color collation, this avenue for reading signals no longer exists. You can still get some sense of what colors are open, such as when a specific color seems to be missing from a few packs in a row or overrepresented a few packs in a row, but this practice has gotten less precise. After all, with play boosters, there's always a chance that the players to your left simply both opened packs that had no green cards in them, rather than each opening normally collated packs and taking green cards out of them. The increased chance of opening extra rares plays a role in this as well. If you get past a green bomb, but the player to your left opened 2 green bombs and took the other one, you could find yourself drafting a color that dries up pretty quickly. This is especially punishing to new players who know to draft around their bomb card, but don't know how to read signals or effectively pivot into another color mid-draft. The subject of pivoting and getting cut by a player to your left drafting the same color as you brings me to the final note about how play boosters have affected draft: the missing 15th card. Losing the 15th card has a few consequences. First of all, you are less likely to wheel something good out of a pack. Wheeling a card is when you take a good card out of a pack the second time you see it, after that pack has been passed through the other 7 players, and then returns to you with the card still available. Wheeling is a foundational aspect of draft. If you build a deck without wheeling a single card, that means you're trying to build a deck with 23 good non-land cards from a total pool of 24. Every good card you wheel adds to the number of good cards you have to choose from when building your deck, making your deck stronger. To be clear, you can still wheel cards in a 14-card pack, it's just less likely. It was already hard to wheel a good card from a pack with 4 or fewer cards left, even in a 15-card pack. But with 15-card packs, you generally have 3, maybe 4 picks worth of wheels in each pack. With 14-card packs, you have maybe 2, 3 picks of wheels. That is a significant decrease percentage-wise. The loss of the 15th card also means there's less room for error when drafting. Let's go back to that scenario where the player to your left opened 2 green bombs. If you try to draft around the bomb they passed you, then you'll be drafting from the scraps of green that make it through them. And with 1 fewer card in the pack, there are fewer scraps to choose from. Play boosters therefore both create a problem by increasing the chances that 2 players next to each other are trying to build around bombs of the same color, while also punishing the unlucky player to the right who has to pick through the player to the left's leftovers. All of these changes boil down to this: it is harder to navigate draft now than it once was. This makes the format less accessible to new players, which is a shame because draft is by far the most accessible Magic format from a material standpoint. You don't need to own anything before signing up for a draft. One more aspect of play boosters that I haven't touched on is the impact on the other limited format, Sealed. Sealed is a format that stretches a wide range of the player base. Pre-release, a largely casual event, is a sealed event, while the first day of most major competitive limited formats are also sealed events. Though the sentiments on the effect of play boosters on draft have been mixed, with some players liking the change, some disliking it, and some feeling indifferent, the same is not true for sealed. By and large, players of the format have expressed that play boosters have made sealed dramatically worse. Most of the problems I covered when discussing draft are exacerbated in sealed. First of all, the increased number of rares you can open in a pack is a huge deal in sealed. Not only do you open twice as many packs, but you also play exclusively with the cards from the packs that you open. There is no self-mitigating factor here. If you open a sealed pool with 6 rares and your round 2 opponent has opened a sealed pool with 12 rares, you are outgunned. This level of variance was already an issue with draft booster packs sealed, but not so much that the format was entirely luck dependent. With play boosters, it's hard to make that same argument. Secondly, the pack collation issues are more stark in sealed. Even with draft boosters, one of the colors in your sealed pool was going to be the weakest, but at least every color was roughly equally represented. Now that's rarely the case. You can open a pool with only 4 or 5 white cards, for example. But what if that happens and your best rare is white? You're just locked out of building around the best card in your pool. In a similar vein, the missing 15th card is especially impactful in sealed. Play booster sealed pools have 6 fewer cards to work with than draft booster sealed pools did. That is a significant drop-off, especially given the collation issues. Put simply, it is entirely possible for your play booster sealed pool to be straight up non-functional if your pack collation breaks, such that it's impossible to assemble 23 playable non-lands in any of the 10 color pairs. If you spent $30 on entry to a pre-release, or worse, $75 on entry to a large competitive sealed tournament, that's a day-ruining caliber outcome. Final conclusion? Thanks to play boosters, draft is a little worse than it used to be. The changes of adding so many potential extra rares to play boosters, as well as the problems with color collation and distribution, have had an impact on draft, though that impact isn't a major problem, but it is fair to say that it's not what it used to be, and that really is a shame. Sealed, on the other hand, has taken a significant hit with the advent of play boosters. If draft got a little bit worse, sealed has gotten a lot worse, and keep in mind that sealed is the format not only of pre-release, but of many competitive hits. So this is an effect that's going to be felt by many Magic the Gathering players. Do keep in mind that this is still the first year of play boosters, and Wizards of the Coast is hopefully monitoring these issues as well as player feedback, and may indeed continue to fine-tune play boosters as time goes on. My biggest gripe with play boosters is this. Play boosters were designed as a way to save draft. As Mark Rosewater made clear, the choice wasn't between play boosters and draft boosters. The choice was between play boosters and no draft at all. When Wizards of the Coast released set boosters as a way to boost pack sales, those set boosters significantly cut into the demand for draft boosters, which eventually led to the need to discontinue draft boosters. But why did set boosters even need to exist in the first place? Why couldn't we have just had draft boosters for draft and collector boosters for those who wanted to collect? We didn't need 3 booster packs. In the end, play boosters are a fix to a problem that Wizards of the Coast created for themselves. They were only necessary because WotC made them necessary. As a result, Limited has suffered, and newer players are the ones hit the hardest. And that's a real shame, both for the future of Limited in particular, and for Magic the Gathering as a whole. But in the end, that is of course just my take, and now I really want to hear from you. What is your opinion of play boosters? Do you feel that they have had a negative or perhaps even a positive effect on formats like draft and sealed? Let me know in the comments below. And remember, you can't play in a draft or even a sealed event at Target or Walmart, so when it is possible, when it is reasonable to do so, try and spend your money where you spend time playing this great game, and that is at your local game store. You're supporting your Magic community when you do.
Next time on Shuffle Up and Play.
Today, we are playing Commander with animators.
Hello, I'm James. I have a YouTube channel called The Odd Ones Out.
I think we do need to drop the animation. We can't afford it for the entire episode. Can we do a face reveal?
Whoa! Animation sucks.
I have become the monarch. He converts.
It was a robot in disguise all along. I thought it was a
Urza.
play.
Somebody once sent me an email with some Transformers Vor fan fiction. I did read it. It wasn't bad.
I'm returning your commander to your hand.
All right, in response, I'm gonna fling my wick at your face.
Tap 2 and negate that.
Oh!
I'm going to tap 2. Arcade.
1, 2, 3.
Let's play.
We're never doing that again.
No, that's your thing now.
No, I don't want
You
to.
don't let-